Okay, I see the time is 3 o'clock. I would like to welcome you to the Board of County Road Commissioners meeting of November 18. First, I'd like to, calling the meeting to order. Ms. Ryder, would you read the public comment guidelines?
This meeting is being provided under Act 267 of the Public Acts of 1976 as amended, or commonly referred to as the Open Meetings Act. During public comment, participants will have the opportunity to address the board at the beginning of the meeting and at the end of the meeting for non-agenda items. Public comments should be provided at the podium in order to ensure proper audio. Public comments, statements, or questions shall be limited to not more than 3 minutes for each person addressing the board. To provide public comment by Zoom, use the raise hand feature in the Zoom application. The host will ask you to unmute. For telephone audio, use *9. Use *6 to toggle back and forth between mute and unmute. As you participate in the meeting, your microphone will be placed on mute. The chat feature shall only be used to address any technical issues for public participation.
Thank you. Could you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The goal of the Board of County Road Commissioners of the County of Kalamazoo is using our expertise, energy, and funds to provide the safest and most convenient road system possible, and to contribute to the economic development and high quality of life throughout the county. Our goal is to maintain a county road system that is safe and convenient for the public travel, and to manage the roadside environment with a view towards preservation. I'd like a motion to approve the agenda. Could have
So
it.
moved, Thompson.
Second, Kennedy.
Thank you. Are there any comments of the audience present? Any online comments? Not seeing any. Board members, any comments? Okay, call the question. Motion to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Carried. Next, we have the approval of minutes from November 4 board meeting and the November 6 MTA annual reception. Do we have a motion there?
Motion to approve. Support.
Thank you. Thank you. Checking. Any comments from the audience? Any online comments? And then are there any comments from the board? We will call the question. Motion to approve minutes from November 4 regular board meeting and November 6 the MTA annual reception. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next, we have approval of the payroll and vendor accounts. Payroll in the amount of $268,965.40 and vendor accounts amounting to $1,128,450.47. Do we have a motion there?
Motion to approve.
Motion, thank you.
No, second.
Second, thank you. Any comments from the audience? Any online comments? Okay. Board members, any comments on the payroll or vendor accounts or questions? Managing Director too, if you had anything you wanted to point out? Okay. So we'll call the question. Motion to approve the payroll and vendor accounts as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Carried. Now we are at the public comment time in our agenda for non-agenda items. If you would like to make a comment, please make us aware of that. We'd like it if you would provide your name, and we would give you 3 minutes to make comments. We will start with here in the room. If there's any comments from present here in the room? Not seeing anyone indicating such. Online, are there any comments? Not seeing any hands raised. Okay. We will proceed with our agenda with no public comments at this time. Next, we have correspondence item. It's request receipt of Michigan Department of Transportation Highway Safety Improvement Program project letter dated November 3, 2025. Managing Director, would you have any comments on that?
I do. So, a great opportunity here. This is for the Sprinkle Road TU Avenue roundabout project. It is a safety project. We were just recently notified through MDOT, through the Highway Safety Improvement Program funding, which also known as the HSIP funding, that we received a $750,000 grant for that project. Total cost of the project is just over $1 million, so the grant will pay approximately 75% of it, and we plan to construct the project in 2027. So with that, we recommend the board receive the letter and refer it to staff.
Okay. Could I have a motion there?
Make the motion, Thompson.
Motion from Thompson.
I would
Second.
like to receive, yes.
And second, okay. To receive the letter and refer it to staff. Any comments from the public present? Online, any comments? Board members, any comments? Okay, motion to approve referring this to staff. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Carried. We are up to the new business section of our agenda. The first item before us will be request approval of the 2027 truck components purchase. I'd like to start here, giving our managing director time to provide some information there.
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to our team. This is quite the innovative project that we've been working on for quite some time. So, particularly Rusty McLean, our Assistant General Superintendent, along with Joe Peck, our Road Maintenance Superintendent, and Tony Allen, also a Road Maintenance Superintendent. Again, an innovation here at the Road Commission. It's been a great opportunity, and we appreciate the board's support as we look at these new types of equipment and being able to modernize with technology and being efficient with our operations, right? Just looking at ways we can save money and provide the best dollar out on the road. I give a little background here with this project. It's the construction of some plow trucks. In 2025, our capital outlay budget included the purchase of 4 cabin chassis. So if you recall, back in early 25, in April, the board approved the purchase of 2 of the 4 cabin chassis. And then shortly thereafter, the board approved the components to build those 2 trucks into complete units that we could use for our daily operations. The second half of the purchase, the other 2 cabin chassis, were delayed until recently in September. The board approved the purchase of the second 2 cabin chassis. And those 2 cabin chassis are the innovative project where we're working to build a larger capacity truck, one that's typically not seen in a typical road agency here in Michigan. There are a few, but very, very few around with this type of design configuration. And obviously new to our road commission. So recently we've been doing a lot of research, trying to find the right equipment, the right vendor to help put this all together, because again, it's new and it's different, so it's out of the norm, and it's trying to gain interest from our vendors again and our manufacturers to help build this type of project. So where we landed just recently is we are proposing to work with Truck and Trailer Specialties, who is the company we have historically worked with to build our plow trucks. What we're trying to build, or what we will be building at this point, are what we're calling 5-axle trucks. So if you actually count the axles, there's 6. Typically, the steer axle is not counted in the total axles of a truck, but this is what we call a 5-axle truck. It has a body on it that's 24 feet long. Our typical trucks today have either 14 or 18 foot bodies, so it's approximately 32% larger than the largest truck we have today. We also, with this new build, will be including the winter maintenance equipment, so this truck will be also capable of plowing snow, not only just summer operations. And the truck will include, or actually 2 trucks, will include right-hand wing plows like we typically have put in on our recent trucks, but they will be larger. They will be 12-foot wing plows versus the typical 9-foot that we've used historically. And we also will be including a front snow plow with these trucks. So these trucks won't have the underbody scraper capability. They will simply plow from the front of the truck. So with that, on the budget side, the price to build these trucks is $535,912. This price is to purchase all the parts or components to build the truck and then hire the vendor to install all those parts and take a cab and chassis that we would buy from the manufacturer, build it into a complete truck. The $535,000 is for 2 units. It is not in our current budget because we wouldn't receive it until 2027. So we actually will need to budget in 2027 for the purchase of the components to build these 2 trucks. The cab and chassis will actually be in our 2026 budget because we don't expect to take delivery of the cab and chassis until January or February of next year. And then by the following year, 2027, we expect these trucks would be built and ready for construction season in the summer. So hopefully be wrapped up by the first quarter of 2027. So with that, we recommend the board approve the 2027 truck components purchase from Truck and Trailer Specialties, utilizing the My Deal purchasing program for a total of $535,912. Thank you.
Thank you, Managing Director. Board members, do we have a motion here?
Motion to approve.
Support. Okay, thank you. So we have a motion recommend that the board approve the 2027 truck components purchase from Truck and Trailer Specialties, Inc., including the My Deal purchasing program, utilizing the My Deal purchasing program for a total amount $535,912. This time, is there any comment from the audience? Any comments online? Not seeing any. Okay, we have a motion and a second. We'll call the question. All those. Sorry.
I have a question.
Thank you.
Managing Director. Thank you. Excuse me, Managing Director. A couple of questions. One on the extended length of these. Is that going to pose any problem for the turn radius on some of the smaller roads or in cul-de-sacs, that sort of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Reduce.
Sure. Good question. The turning radius on these trucks is very similar to the turning radius on our current 18-foot body trucks, our tri-axle trucks. Simply, we're putting more axles in front of the drive axles, so it doesn't lengthen the turning radius of the truck. But they do not turn as sharp as a shorter truck. So these larger trucks are typically used on our primary snow routes, main roads, so they're not spending a lot of time in residential areas making tight turns.
Okay. And a follow-up question on that, the 535, 912, again, that's only for the parts. It's parts only.
Parts and install.
And install. So,
and install.
Okay.
It does not include the cab and chassis that the board
So
already
it's parts
approved.
and labor.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
that's taking the cab and chassis and building it into a complete truck that's ready to turn key and go to work.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson.
Just a curious question. So, what the cost would have been if we'd have done a normal truck with I know this is different equipment.
It is. So there's a lot of options and a lot of variety, but I know where you're going with this. So we used to say a snowplow truck totally equipped costs $250,000. That's not the case today. A typical snowplow truck totally equipped, this cabin chassis and the components to build it to make it so it's turnkey, is $350,000. So we're looking at approximately $100,000 more per truck than a typical snowplow truck,
But more versatile for the uses of
and 32% larger.
large. Yep. Thank you.
Commissioners, any other comments, questions?
I would just follow up. It's larger. So what's just so the public knows why is bigger better in this?
Why is bigger better? Well, it's interesting, and I didn't mention this, but the primary reason we started down this path of these larger trucks yet, because we built larger trucks about 10 years ago, right? And it's been good for our agency. But we typically are building the bigger truck for construction season, and it's primarily chip seal again. This truck here particularly, we find ourselves working in a lot of residential areas with chip seal, and there's a lot of overhead power lines along with trees and branches over the road. Most of our trucks are dump trucks, so the box has to go in the air to dump the material, which can cause the equipment to stop to be able to get enough material out the front on the road. With these trucks, they're live bottom, so basically they can dispense material without lifting a box. So these will obviously be very valuable in those areas with heavy tree cover and power lines, not only capacity-wise, but safety and efficiency, quality of workmanship. They'll be a good tool for our operations.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Ready to call the question? Okay, we have a motion and second to approve purchase of the 2027 truck components from Truck and Trailer utilizing my Ideal Purchasing Program for a total of $535,912. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next agenda item is to request approval of MDOT contract 25-5564. The components of that are 9th Street from KL Avenue to West Main and 9th Street at Seco Drive regarding signal modernization. Manager Director, would you like to give us some overview there?
Yeah, I'll just give just a little bit more detail there, Chair. So the project includes hot mix asphalt, cold milling and paving, concrete sidewalk, curb ramps, concrete curb and gutter along 9th Street from KL Avenue to West Main, and signal modernization along 9th Street at Seco Drive, including structure adjustments, signal controller and cabinet, countdown pedestrian signals, pedestrian push buttons, Opticon video detection, wireless interconnect, and permanent pavement marking in this project. So total project cost is $1,080,000. The federal grant would cover $800,000 of that, leaving the road commission responsible for $280,000. So with that, we are recommending the board approve the MDOT contract number 25-5564 for the managing director's signature.
Board members, do you have a motion? Motion by Thompson.
Yep.
Second by
Second, please.
Davis. Thank you. We'll open up for comments and questions now. First from the audience here in the room. And we'll look online as well if there's any comments or questions. Not seeing any online or hearing any. Commissioners, do we have any questions or comments? Commissioner Kennedy.
So, Managing Director, can you give me those numbers again? Because
Sure.
it's not reflected here in the, for the vote.
So the total cost of the project is $1,080,000. The federal share is $800,000, and the road commission's responsibility would be $280,003.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other comments, questions?
Manager Director, I happened to be listening to some programming yesterday about small towns getting hacked just the word wireless interconnection jumped out at me. Is how are we protecting these systems from intrusion from outside actors?
You're probably asking the wrong person, Commissioner Davis. I'm going to look at Jim Hookster, our Assistant County Engineer. He's kind of smirking too, but he's a little more techie than I am, so
Okay.
maybe he can help.
It's out of left field a little bit, but
Great question.
Hello, Jim Huckster, Road Commission, Kalamazoo County, Assistant County Engineer. Yeah, so in terms of hacking the components, that is always a concern in terms of what's out there. We don't want people hacking the traffic signals, being able to modify them in any way. This here has an interconnect, so it's really a radio system to get from SECO back to KL, and it really communicates just between those two. So it's not that there's any kind of port or anything available to the public to key into here. It's not Wi-Fi based or anything like that. It's simply a radio signal from one, the antenna being at the top of the pole, to the other.
and it's not receiving information from that antenna to the unit.
Really what it's coming down through the pole and feeding into the cabinet. So I suppose if somebody really wanted to hack into these things, they would have to go into the cabinet physically and plug into the device there.
And how secure are the cabinets?
Quite secure. We do utilize a digital key. This was something, it's been a while now. We have a digital key. It is actually registered to each of our maintenance technicians, and it resets after a certain period of like a month. And so they have to go in and update their credentials. And so that every time you go in a cabinet, you will know who was the last person in there, and it tracks who and when.
That's reassuring. Thank you.
Mr. Kennedy?
So is there a cost to maintain this on an annual basis?
There is a cost to maintain traffic signals on an annual basis. I think we spend about $175,000 a year on signal maintenance, if memory serves. That does accommodate all of our systems. So if we figure that there's probably 40 to 45 signals out there that we oversee, and then you have the flashing beacons, which take significantly less maintenance, but inevitably you're going to have to fix and replace a bulb or something. That is the most common occurrence, replacing a bulb. But occasionally, if you're out there and the signal is flashing red in all directions,
Right.
that is a signal that something has malfunctioned, and so it requires a technician to go in and troubleshoot and figure out what's going on.
Okay, thank you.
Question I have was about the sidewalk, if it's just at the intersection of Seco, or if there's sidewalk or non-motorized happening along 9th Street.
Yes, the sidewalk at this time for this project is strictly at the intersections. It's mostly ADA ramp improvements. So when we go through the federal process and do a road project, we are required to make sure all ramps are ADA compliant. So with that, there is some small sections of sidewalk, specifically I think at the intersection down at KL, that will need to get replaced.
Okay, thank you. Double checking audience, online, board members, any further questions? We have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Okay. Motion by Davis, supported by Thompson, to approve MDOT contract 255564. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. And one of our favorite subjects is winter maintenance, and I see we have Rusty McLean coming up to make a presentation regarding winter maintenance. Thank you, Rusty.
All right, good afternoon. So that time of year again, right? Like it or not, it's not everyone's favorite time of year, but winter maintenance time. So just gonna go quick overview of what winter maintenance looks like here at the Road Commission. So first up, we're gonna talk about our snow removal priorities. So might be a little hard to see with Zoom open here, but first up is our designated plow route. So we have a leveled system, 1 through 5, of what that typically looks like. Level 1, Route 1, if you will, if you break it down, is our main plow level route. So level 1 and 2, really you're thinking Sprinkle Road, right? Multi-lane roads, really the main corridors out of that, working our way down to dead ends and cul-de-sacs. So typically when we go out for snow removal activities, winter maintenance activities, we're hitting those level 1s. After those are completed, we're hitting the balance of our primary network, then moving on to our just general local road miles, then moving into subdivisions, plats, dead ends, cul-de-sacs. Okay, so, oh, I think we passed it. Okay, so when we're getting into our dead ends, cul-de-sacs, typically how we want to plow our cul-de-sacs is everyone kind of gets a piece of the pie, if you will. So typically when we're coming in, we'll make that first pass to the outside. So think of everyone's driveway going around the radius. Second pass, everything goes to the center or the inside of the cul-de-sac. And then if you can, depending on how tight the turning radius is and how big the cul-de-sac is, the third and fourth pass will go to that inside if possible. So it's really just to disperse the snow as even as we can throughout that cul-de-sac. So next up, touching on how we typically plow and sand intersections. So you'll see the stop ahead signs on here, roughly about 500 feet from the intersection. That's where we want to initially start putting down material when we're coming up to an intersection. So a little bit of a graphic here, you'll see they're turning their spreading material on. They want to carry it up to that stop sign, at which time they'll turn it off. And traffic does help carry that through the center of the intersection, if you will. So as we're making our rounds through an intersection, typically this is what you'll see when we're done. So just enough material to make people able to stop safely, and then carrying through also helps provide that traction to get going through the intersection. So when we're talking winter maintenance, yeah.
Rusty, if I can ask a question about the spread, you use a de-icer or on some of the applications. When are you using that on? How often do you use that, and then what? Because I was thinking about today, we had a glazing effect. When are you just making that decision on that?
Yep. So we do have a couple slides on it, but we do all different varieties. Mix of fixes here and treatment types. That anytime a granular truck is going to go out, say there's also liquid trucks running those same routes as well. But more to your point, if you don't mind waiting, we'll get to that slide here in just a couple. So with that winter maintenance, the main highlight is that really when the snow event comes through, we're out plowing the roads. We want to abide by that. When the snow stops, we want to try and cover our entire network within 48 hours from the time the snow stops, right? But in the meantime of plowing that, we're going to start on those level 1 routes and work our way down through that 1 through 5. With the understanding that if the snow keeps falling and it's coming down rather heavy, obviously our main priority are those main corridors. As we get into those dead ends, cul-de-sacs, platted areas, if the snowstorm is continuing, we're going to try our best to at least hit those on an every other day basis so that things don't get so bogged down in those platted areas. If we can get through them an entire day, an entire shift, we do our best to do so. Also, along with that, if we have a snow event that is lingering on and we can't get through our entirety of those level routes, the next day that our crews come in, the next shift, we are going to make priority of those level 1 routes as well, those main corridors. So a little bit when we're getting into plowing, a few years ago, the Road Commission started a navigation app, a turn-by-turn, if you will. All of our routes have a designated turn-by-turn system. So the way that it works is we want to cover both sides of the road within a reasonable amount of time. So we went through and designed those routes so that in that reasonable amount of time we can cover that area and move on to the next one. And they also go through in sequential order of that 1 through 5 level, if you will. So what that does is it really empowers the team a little bit more. We'll get into it in the next couple of slides, but if an operator isn't familiar with an area, new employees, someone is off by chance, we have to shuffle things around, it really gives them the tool to, at a glance and with an audible feature, to traverse their route, know where they're going without needing to stop, look at a map, take their eyes off the road, keeps our operators safe, keeps everyone on the road as safe as well. So the way that it works is you can kind of see on the left, there's an option to view stationary, what that route looks like. This particular segment in itself highlights the roads, but it also gives that actual turn by turn just by reading through it. So next, what you would see as an operator, they go through and select the actual route.
Starting navigation. Go north on 2nd Street north toward FG Avenue West. Turn right. Make a U-turn. Bear right on F Avenue West.
Are they always driving that fast?
No.
Make a U-turn and go back on F Avenue West.
So what this kind of helps show also is you can watch these turn-by-turn routes on a stationary mode. So there's two different features to it. You can actually have it live with you no matter where you're at in the state, in the country, within the county. It will actually take you from your location to that designated route, starting point, all the way through the route to the ending point. If by chance you're in an area, the snow is really heavy, you're having signal issues, you can actually watch it in a stationary mode where you can adjust the speed as if it is here, match it to your truck, or actually watch it and pause it as you need to. If it said, you know, go up to the next intersection, turn right, you can make it to that next intersection, turn right, hit play again, let it go through to the next turn, hit pause if you run into some sort of a signal issue. Yes.
So I noticed that it says mark stop as visited. So as it's going through the field or going through the selections there, does it automatically check off that she's been to that area?
So within the background of the app, yes. And we also have a little bit of follow-up to that, I believe, on the next slide here of how it looks like with that kind of reporting through not only to the road commission team, but as a reviewing authority as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So to the reporting aspect of it, not necessarily in the navigation app, but we took all those turn-by-turn routes and overlaid them on our telematics provider's webpage. So we took a glimpse of this and we actually turned it off for Waukesha here. What it does is anything that's gray, like in the bottom right-hand corner, that would simulate, hey, no one has been in this area. There's been no truck, nothing's been traversed. As it turns blue, someone has covered that route. All of our operators actually have this as a reviewing tool as well, so they can see where their peers have been. Really cuts down on that response time. If someone does complete their route, they can look to their neighbor to north, south, east, west, depending on what township they're in or what level route they're plowing, and actually see, hey, I can see the plats up in Comstock haven't been hit yet. I've completed my route early. I can actually just call out to that driver and go to that area. In lieu of reporting to a superintendent trying to review the system to see where has someone been, where has someone not been, and then calling back out to dispatch an operator to that area. So it really helps increase that response time. Again, kind of puts the tools back into the operator's hands to respond a little bit quicker. Also, not pictured, but there's also some reporting features with plow up, plow down. All of that's tracked down here as well. How much material they've spread, what type of material, have they blasted, the pounds per lane mile. It's recording all of that data as well. So with those spread rates,
So, excuse me, Rusty, one last question. I may be getting ahead of you.
Sure.
But, so that seems like a really good system, so long as like it's under like for one snow event. But you had mentioned earlier, like, oh, what happens when, you know, if this just keeps coming? We can, you know, we're going to focus on the primary roads.
Yep.
How does this respond to those changing conditions so that And then who's making those calls and how's that being relayed to the team?
Sure. Really, that's coming from the superintendent staff as to, you know, when are we putting material down if it's too cold, which we'll get into in the next couple of slides. If the storm is continuing, what level routes we need to maintain and kind of prioritize our focus on. Really, all that's coming from that reviewing authority as the superintendent. Okay. As far as the time frame, let's say the snow continues, there's actually filters that you can turn on and off in here, and it's all time based also. So typically, what an operator would see is after 24 hours, we just have it set as a default to not color the roads in as they've covered it. If we know that snow event's going to linger on. If it doesn't, we can leave it on so that we know where we've been and where we can continue going.
Thank you.
So it's all very adjustable.
I'll add to that a little bit. Snow falls uniformly across the county usually, probably, not really. So is that up to the person driving the route, the superintendent, to kind of make the judgments of?
Yeah, it's really a joint effort. You know, we have more operators than we do superintendents. Obviously, we can't be everywhere in the entire county as superintendents. So we rely on our team also to provide feedback. Typically, the snow band comes through from the southwest and kind of makes an arc going around the county. So we know where our snow belts are, if you will. Typically in that, you know, east side of the county doesn't see as much snow as what the west side does. So we do have that constant communication going on, not only between superintendent and road maintenance operators. They have it amongst themselves too, that if they're not needed in an area, then they can go help another individual in a different township. Just kind of really depends on the storm, right? No two storms are alike here. So it really just depends on that communication that we have between staff and superintendents.
So those feedback loops are organic as well as systematic.
Yeah.
So, Rusty, if I could,
Yep.
so Commissioner Davis, also with this routing app, in this scenario where maybe it just snowed on the west half of the county, we can take our drivers from the east side and split those routes, tell them a starting point, and they go to that point and hit go on the app, and it'll start them in the route halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that's really key to this app also is if a driver doesn't finish their route in their shift, all they have to do is report where they stopped. The next shift comes in, picks up that point and hits go again and continues the shift, or the route.
Yeah, and one of the other nice features, I guess, kind of in the background of it, is the routes are plowed the same way every time we go out, right? Generally speaking, roughly depending on the storm, around the same time. So if we're always out at the same time in the morning, early hours before everyone's typically making their way to work, generally speaking, people can kind of gauge what time their road's going to be plowed. And, you know, if someone was to call in, we can also aid in that with timing, knowing that they have a designated route that they're following to give a general window of when someone's going to be in that area. So it really helps with that repetitiveness. It's plowed the same way every time the snow comes through. So with those spread rates, again, knowing that no two storms are alike, meaning there's really no set standard, if you will, for applications. There's a multitude of factors that come into play. Are there drift areas? Is it really blowing where you don't want to put down material to where it would build up on the road? The snow and ice would, as it melts and then refreezes, melts and refreezes. Typically, we say that's somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 to 300 pounds per lane mile. Again, that depends on if you're using a granular or a liquid material. So with that liquid material, we use it for pre-treating. We use it for actively treating during a storm. Pre-treating, if we know a snow event is coming in, say tomorrow, we would be out now if the conditions are right, the roads are fairly dry, and we have enough time for that liquid material to go down on the road, dry, if you will, so that when the snow event comes, it's really keeping that material from bonding to the road initially. During a storm, liquids are very valuable in the sense that you get an automatic brine right on the road. You're not waiting for that salt to start dissolving and making a brine to continue to melt that ice. So just a couple of graphs here of generally how it works. So if you take a pound of salt and it's right at freezing temperatures of 32, you can get somewhere in the neighborhood of that 45 pounds of ice that it will melt. The colder the temperature, the less that salt is actually going to make use. On the left is where you see that. On the right, it really gives that difference between a salt material, a sand salt, and then the calcium chloride or a liquid treatment. Really, it's just the amount of time that it takes and the temperature that it takes. So if you look at salt, obviously you can get a good melt on the optimum temperatures, but the colder it gets, the longer it's going to take for that salt to take effect on the road. If you go down to a liquid, you can see it's a rather steady graph here that even at a low temperature, you're still at a very minimal amount of time because you're actively putting a brine down on the road and not waiting for a granular to take hold. So sands and other abrasives, typically we use a 3-to-1 mix. So think of it as 3 buckets of sand to 1 bucket of salt is generally how it gets mixed up. Really, it's giving that added traction to the road. Also helps cut down on the amount of salt that you're putting down on the road for a less traveled area. Really, it's not that you want to take everything off the road knowing that it would take a tremendous amount of salt or liquid. You're helping people get that traction on the road. Also, that abrasive helps that salt have a pocket, if you will, into the ice that's on the road to start making that brine process. So we use that at different temperatures too. If it gets too cold to use just a salt, knowing that we have a limited amount of liquid trucks, we can use that abrasive to also help provide people with traction until the temperatures start coming up to make a good brine on the road. So this is just a little picture of kind of what that mix looks like. You can see the veins in the salt pile, if you will. So we actually use our conveyor now to mix our sand salt. We find that it gives a more even mix to it. As a truck is getting loaded, the loader bucket can simply scoop up the whole face of the pile, get a good mix of sand and salt as they're loading their truck. And we do also pre-treat our salt as well so that you're getting a little bit of that liquid that absorbs into the salt, helps it work a little bit faster. You're starting that brine process a little bit quicker. So again, that liquid de-icer, it really is just time. So while you do get a melting effect with just a granular application, the liquid is an instantaneous, if you will. And there's also some residual effects that it leaves on the road. So let's say just a light snowfall is coming down through, you're helping the road surface and that you're not creating a bond with the ice that's coming down or the snow that's coming down. If the snow stops, there's still some of that residual liquid that's on the ground that's going to continue to work the next snow event that comes through. Also, it is better that it lowers the freezing temperature of that application that you're putting down. And when we're talking pre-treating our salt or our sand salt, it really reduces that clumping of material. So you're getting more of an even distribution as it goes down the road. It also helps with a bounce and scatter. So when you're traveling down the road, you're dropping material. The heavier it is, seems how it's holding a little bit of liquid. It helps keep that material on the road instead of hitting and bouncing off onto the shoulder or into the ditch. So next we have kind of a short video. Kudos to our communications administrator. She put together a nice video of what plowing actually looks like instead of just hearing me speak and watching some slides here. So might need some help from Sarah. Let's see. Yeah, you want to hit play, Sarah?
This is a winter weather alert. First tonight, snow and strong winds are back in West Michigan.
And just by this measure, we see about exactly 12 inches.
It's safe to say all of West Michigan is feeling the impact of this winter weather. In Kalamazoo, they've been seeing the issue all day long.
plowing snow is my favorite thing to do here. I love it. 27 days straight, you know, it gets a little grueling, but I love it. There's nothing like watching your snow roll off your wing.
Get the call within, I would say, 2 hours. I think we're all here, you know, starting our trucks, inspecting them, getting ready to go.
Yeah, as soon as I get that call, I'm pretty much ready to go. Wake up and get dressed and head right in. Get here as fast as I can and get out to that road.
It is fun. I have fun doing it. It gets tiring after so many hours, but it's fun.
I like working here because you get to see the instant gratification of start to finish. My favorite route was Sprinkle Road, Stadium, all that stuff. That was because it's like controlled chaos. You know, you throw yourself right in and it makes the day fun. We did get a couple of compliments last year though on nights. We had a couple of guys pull over and say that what we do is awesome, and it was cool watching us work because we're plowing in tandem, so you don't see it a lot.
I actually like to plow, so there's just something about having your own route, knowing what you're going to do that day, just going out by yourself, getting the work done, plowing. It's a good time. We do make a difference when we go out there. You know, sometimes people actually come out and they're like, yeah, you know, fist pumping. So it's kind of like being a little, you know, like a local hero, you know, if that makes sense. So that, you know, that kind of keeps you going sometimes. So.
I mean, we got a pretty solid, like, group of guys that are like, we treat each other like family.
You build that camaraderie between one another, and then you just go out and get the job done, and you have a good time doing it.
Being able to communicate with the other drivers helps a lot. Being able to talk on the phone a little bit, or on the radios, saying, hey, I need a little help over here, you need a little help over there. Just knowing that the roads are getting done. And everybody seems to be looking out for each other because we all know that this is one of the most dangerous jobs. It can be difficult and challenging, but as long as we all stay aware and work together, it goes pretty well.
I'd say the hardest part for me personally is, you know, some of the long hours away from family and stuff. Having a young daughter, you know, in the wintertime you work in a truck 12 hours a day. But you get used to it.
They get it too. That's a big thing. I think there's a lot of understanding, like with my wife and my daughter. When the phone rings, you know, they know it is what it is, and it's grown on us all. So it's, you know, I think my wife also sees the helping people, and she enjoys that. She's proud to say that I work here, so that's cool.
Fulfilling, I should say, and like a lot of pride working for public service. Like you're doing a part.
Knowing that you're making the road safer for the public is a big one, and for your own family also. Because I have family that work out here in Kalamazoo, so it's nice to know that I'm making the road safer for them to be able to drive to said place.
Yeah, you know, make sure it's open so if someone's ever having a heart attack or medical emergency in a home, emergency services can get there to them. Maybe save a life.
Reason why we're out there is keeping the roads clear so transportation vehicles like that, safety vehicles, can get through safely to provide a public service like we do.
You know, they might not be used by an emergency vehicle that day or whatever, but just knowing that it could be is gratifying.
Each road is important to somebody, right? Somebody's got to get to the doctors, or somebody's got to go to the grocery store for baby formula, or somebody's got to go to grandma's house because their heat doesn't work. Every road in the county is important to somebody. So you got to take that into account, right? I signed up to do this job as a public servant. I got to do the job to the best of my ability to make sure you can get what you need.
So great video, really encompasses what we do here at the Road Commission during winter maintenance. I think one of the main highlights is that our operators really take a lot of pride in what they do. They really understand that they're providing a public service. They truly do want people to be able to traverse this network as safe as they can. And we're proud that they take pride in what they do. It's a very grueling job at sometimes, as was mentioned, several days in a row. They spend a lot of time in those trucks providing that service. So we're very thankful that we have such a great team here. So with that, I don't think my clicker is working, but we'll take any questions.
Rusty, somewhere between 100 and 300 pounds of sand and salt mix per mile. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it really depends on the liquid application, right? Typically that granular weighs a little bit more. So we say that 100 to 300, it's dependent on what you're putting down and what route you're on as well.
And I was just trying to do some, metal. I mean, we've got 1,200 miles of road. How often, how much of that is getting an application per event?
Yeah, great question. So typically under level 1 routes, the entire route is getting some sort of treatment with it. When you start getting down into those lower levels, it's really hills, curves, and intersections that we're providing that material on. Generally speaking, the straightaways, if it's an open canopy, the sun's going to help melt that. It's really what's safest for people, and it's on the hills, in the curves, and at the intersections.
So approximately, gross numbers. How many pounds are we throwing down on an event? I mean, it's like if we did the whole thing, it's like 250,000 pounds of sand. It's like per event, but I know we're nowhere near that. So what's your
Sure.
ballpark estimate for what we're doing?
It really does depend on the storm. It's hard to give an actual of what they're using. I would say on average, each truck, they're probably taking out a load a day that they're burning through. So you're somewhere in the neighborhood, depending on the size of the truck, right? 16, 18 ton they're taking out to a truck. On a lighter event, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 12, right? Sometimes less. It really just depends on the conditions and where you're at within the county.
Okay.
So Rusty, if I could, just for clarification, Commissioner Davis, that 300 to 600 pounds is per lane mile, so that's two directions.
Oh, so it's multiplied by 10. Okay, thank you.
I like to follow up on the hills, curves, shady areas. Living out Cooper Way, I got to deal with River Valley, or dropping down into it, getting out of it. So Nichols Road and Ravine. Can you give a little bit of comment? What should we expect out there in an intersection like that? You usually have you have a center turn lane, northbound, southbound.
Yeah, so I mean, we're gonna be treating that entire area. If our operators that are in that area, if they know that there's a deep ravine, right, we're gonna treat it accordingly for how slippery it is. We're also working with dispatch if there's calls coming in. It's really, the boots on the ground are helping make that determination of where extra material might be needed, right? I mean, we even take into account, hospitals, school zones, different high traverse areas, if you will. So it really is dependent on that storm and what the conditions are. If an operator believes that they need to use a little bit more in that area, then they're going to.
Is it, like my wife said, boy, it was bad going downhill on Nichols to Ravine. Does the road commission like calls then, or you're hearing it multiple other ways? When we hit an icy area that's problematic for a driver, should they call in, or you have
yeah,
other ways
absolutely
you're
they can. They can call in, and request additional attention. We do get a lot of those calls through dispatch, and just like with storm tree alerts, right? We get from central dispatch. Those go through to those operators. Those operators also get those alerts to see, is this in my area? And they can be dispatched accordingly on their own to those areas, right? House fires, slippery areas. Does the sheriff's department or the fire department need some material on the road? A lot of that communication is coming through. If we get calls during the day and those service requests come in, that superintendent staff is working with those operators in those areas to communicate an additional area to go or some additional treatment.
Is this a place where the RCKC Connect is like a good format for the general public to let the staff or the dispatch know about local conditions?
I don't know if we've really used it for specific conditions or areas.
Okay.
I mean, as far as, actively out doing work, yeah, we can use it to that extent, but I'm not sure if we've actually used it for problematic areas, if you will.
Yeah, I just knew it was just one of those methodologies we're using to connect with the community, and
Sure.
I was thinking it was a place they could just give us like immediate feedback on such time, real time. Thank you.
We have an audience question.
Yeah, Rusty, okay, if I understand this right, you've got several chemical melting agents and abrasives that you could basically have a formula or a mix for a given day's expected weather, is that correct?
Yeah, generally speaking.
So who decides that and when, and then how does the right stuff get loaded on the trucks?
Yeah, so some of it's dependent on the route, right? We want to open up the major corridors, if you will, as quick as we can and get some of that ice burn off the road. So typically those are going to see that liquid application going down. It really depends on the liquid that you're using. The temperature and the snow event kind of helps dictate that as well. It's really coming from a supervisory standpoint of if it's below this temperature, we just want guys to carry weight. We want them to actually put on a granular on all routes because the temperature is so cold. It's really kind of a joint effort, but typically it's coming from that supervisor standpoint. Each liquid has kind of a different use for it. Can it be used for pre-treating or actively put down during a snow event?
And how far ahead does the supervisor have to work on that? Like you wait till it's forecast at 2 in the morning and then...
If you know the answer to that, we'd love to know too if there's a perfect time for it. Really, it's we have 3 shifts that run. The majority of our staff is on a first shift basis. Somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 o'clock in the morning we can be out. We have a second shift to cover up through till midnight, and then we have that third shift that's running the majority of our primary network on nights simply because there's less traffic. So there's always somebody here that's reviewing what the conditions are out there. We use some of our other tools like our traffic signal cameras to view is it snowing in a certain area versus not to help dispatch, or the duty superintendent that's on call simply works with our crew and drives the network to see where's the main area that needs to be treated.
Great. One other question, your second slide had 5 types of roads that you prioritized. How does the commission define local road?
I believe it's just off from traffic counts as far as our tiered system for winter maintenance, if I'm not correct.
But a local road is not a local primary?
I guess I'm not understanding here.
Well, you had first your sprinkle roads and then down to primary and then one down to a local road. So what differentiates 2 from 3?
Yeah, I guess the main point being what's that major connecting corridor, right? If our primary network is, say, take W Avenue, right, goes from one side of the county to the other, is going to be a high traffic road versus just an intermediate connecting between 2 separate roads that we would say, it's more of a local route as opposed to something that goes high traffic from one side of the county to the other. Also including gravel roads, right? We might consider that more of a local road than obviously a primary road in this county.
Adding to that, let's talk about primary roads, local roads in our construction season and all that. That language still applies. We further define local, getting down to plat streets and then cul-de-sacs. So I think at a state level, when people think local roads, they think all county roads. When we refer to local roads within the county, we have primary, local, and then local divided further into plats and cul-de-sacs. Even primaries, I'm sure, have other classifications, but okay. Mr. Kennedy.
Yes, so just kind of doing preventive. So if there is a resident or someone who would like to reach out and say, you know, when are you getting to my neighborhood or et cetera, even though I'm sure you're coming. Do they call the regular number? Does the community connect with the road commission in this type of environment?
Yep, yeah, I'd say call our main line, and our administrative assistants also have the capability to see where trucks are at, or they can patch through to a superintendent. But yeah, we'd say give us a call directly, and we can have that conversation with the resident then.
Okay, and then I just wanted to share that I appreciate and I applaud the attitudes of your team, because I like very much every road is important to someone, or somebody, he said.
Absolutely.
Actually in quotes. So I really appreciate that very much. Thank you. That's all I got.
Great.
Thank you, Rusty McLean and crew. We are moving back to our agenda. We have public comment now on non-agenda items again, so I will start with those present here, if there's anyone with public comments. And we will also check if there's, from our online audience, any questions or comments. Not seeing any. Okay. We have time now for our managing director's report.
All right, I have a few items today. To start off with, we do have our board work session coming up on December 2nd. That's immediately following our regular board meeting. We have quite the team here that's going to stay late, and we have quite a few topics to discuss. Along with, there will be dinner provided. On December 12th, we have our next road tour with our commissioners. So if you're interested in that, it's 9 a.m. on December 12th. Shoot me a text, let me know if you're available at least a day or so ahead of time, and we'll plan accordingly, and we'll have a route planned and a vehicle available. So again, that's December 12th. We also have our township supervisor meeting coming up tomorrow. That's here at the Road Commission. The Road Commission is on the agenda. We want to talk to our township partners about the neighborhood road fund money and what we're proposing to our board and how we can use a portion of that on our local road system. We have our holiday potluck coming up. That's Friday, December 12th at 8 a.m. With that, feel free, if the board's interested in attending, you can also wear your ugly sweater, slippers, or if you have some festive gear. Again, it's a potluck. We will be providing some eggs along with that, and then we'll just use the potluck for the rest of the food. What else do I have here? CRA, so County Road Association, has a workshop coming up. It's commissioners in the classroom. I think all the commissioners probably have a copy of that. That's February 17th in Mount Pleasant. It's just a one-day event. It looks like a pretty good agenda. So if you're interested, let me or Selena know, and she can get you signed up. And I think that's it for me, unless there's questions.
Any questions for our managing director?
Yes, actually, thank you. Hi. I haven't done this before, but I want to go back to something that was previously on the agenda. It was the payroll. I just was looking at the difference between the numbers for this pay period versus the numbers in the last pay period.
The payroll period?
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was like $75,000 more, and it caught my attention. And I was just curious if you could give me a quick explanation for why.
Sure.
It was
Sure.
disparate.
I'll do my best, and I think I know the answer to this. I'm not last for help. We are getting to that season where there is some overtime, right? We've had a winter maintenance event already. And also it's that time of year for our longevity pay. So we do have some employees around here that are under personnel policies from many years ago that continue with longevity pay. Also, we have some, I believe, in the CBA also that still continue to receive longevity pay. And that's always the first pay in November.
Okay.
So that's probably a chunk of it, and then the OT is probably the other piece.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just noticed there was a significant bump.
It is, yeah. It's usually about 200,000. So
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Good question. Well, then, for Commissioner time, we'll start with Commissioner Kennedy, if you had any comments.
So I just wanted to share that Veterans Day was a success at the National Guard Armory. We had quite a few dignitaries. Thank you, Tim, your office, and Matt Hall, Speaker Hall was in attendance. We celebrated Kelly Cody, who is the Veteran of the Year, who lives in Ross Township. And so I appreciate everyone who came out for that. I do want to remind veterans that the Veteran Service Office on Alcott is passing out vouchers or cards for any veteran. Doesn't matter your financial status, it's a holiday card worth $75, and they should go to the Veteran Service Office to pick that up. You do have to prove that you're a veteran. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Commissioner Thompson?
I have nothing this week, thank you.
Okay. And Commissioner Davis?
Thank you. I was at the Alamo Township meeting this last week. They circulated it and signed a letter that was on some of our other. Oh, I think we lost one of our township reps. That was circulating, dealing with this question of how is the money in the state funding going to change, and particularly regarding local roads and rural roads and some of the definitions. And that letter was posted to the Speaker of the House, to the Governor, and to the Speaker, the head of the Senate. So I was looking forward to seeing more of that. Did you co-sign that letter as well?
No, but I sent some to all the townships over the weekend.
Okay, yeah.
Looking for some from Travis in order to finish some of the
Yeah.
response. So
And there just
waiting
seems.
for Travis to release his figures.
So Alamo is also part of that, as the townships, as I'm connecting with anybody else in the townships, that's been a big point of just concern. Everyone wants to know what's happening and how's it going to affect us, and whether the fund sharing is, what's the new formula going to be. So I'm really glad we're having those conversations with our townships, and hopefully I can be there tomorrow and listen to what they're doing. And the other point was that they're concerned about our data centers and land use issues in some of the townships. Not that really has a lot to do with what we're doing in here, other than just a general eye on the community. But that seems to be another issue that's really popping up as something the townships are concerned about. And the Environmental Health and Concerns Committee meets on the 10th of December. So I'll have a report on that once that meeting's over. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Davis. I do want to follow up regarding supervisors meeting tomorrow, the 19th. If more than 2 commissioners would be there, do we have time to give public notice?
We would need to know today, right?
Is that sufficient time? So I know I was planning to attend, given our chair, Dave Pulowski's not available. I think Randy Thompson is interested. I'm hearing Commissioner Davis.
I'm interested, but I really have to keep my options open for the morning.
So you're.
Because I'd be happy to step down if he wanted to, but
no, you should. If you're committed to going, I was just
we either
thinking
have to public notice, or we have to say we have Thompson and Stayhauer attending.
You guys go.
Okay. Yeah. And I think we're all eager for the input. I'm glad that's the topic tomorrow for supervisors. So great.
I'll look forward to hearing about it.
Yeah. And we will hear more in our work session December 2.
Yep.
So I know our staff is working hard on. We're excited about more funds. We're wondering the extent of them, when they come, and how to allocate. So I'd like to say thank you to Commissioner Kennedy for attending Park and Rec's, County Park and Rec Committee meeting for me early November so I could bicycle in sunny, warm Florida. And welcome back to winter in Michigan. So the presentation about winter weather was well timed. Plan to attend the supervisors meeting tomorrow. Tonight I hope to go to Ross Township. So from managing director or staff, key me in if there's anything I ought to be alert to. I don't want to be a know-it-all. I just I don't like to be caught off guard if there's something of concern. For our chair, Dave Pulowski, we hope he gets well soon and rejoins us shortly. I know that's his intent, and he gave us notice ahead of his absence this afternoon and tomorrow. That's all I have at this time. I don't see Dave Pulowski online, just by chance he was, and I'm overlooking that. Okay. We do have another agenda item regarding closed session time pursuant to Section 8C of the Open Meeting Act for the purpose of discussing labor negotiations. Once the board has acted on going into closed section, our intent would be to leave this room, go to an adjacent conference room, deal with this matter, and then come back to this room to make any decisions. So at this time, it'd be appropriate if we had a motion to go into closed section regarding discussing labor negotiations.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Thompson. Is there a second? Support by Davis. Any questions, comments? I will call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That's carried. Thank you all, and we are going to remove ourselves as commissioners, and we will come back to conduct any further business and close the meeting once the closed session is done. Thank you. We are headed into the conference room out the hallway to the right. With you having trouble getting into your packet, like the dollar details they have a lot more detail in our packet.
Yes.
That's where with the undotted summarized. Yeah.
So when I showed her, I keep getting a triangle and with an error message. So, and then now it won't even let me. So I could get in there now. Maybe because I'm here, but like my Chrome, I can't even get into Chrome.
I get that too, and sometimes it seems if I've been away a while or I use it in a different location, I leave the cellular. You have cellular or you have Wi-Fi. I run off the cellular because that's in-house system.
That makes sense too. So
And you might even not be aware of that, but yeah.
And so I'm still, so that you know, I'm still learning. So since they always leave a blank next to my name, I'm hoping that they'll start putting in the meetings that I attend.
We don't normally list the township meetings.
No, I'm not township, but I'm talking about like I went to the Parks and Rec
Oh,
meeting.
Okay.
But
well,
see how, so they don't put the Schoolcraft or Ross or anything
No,
like
we
that?
don't do that for any of us. Yeah.
But they do new, so I failed to give a report, so I apologize. I'll give another one, at another time.
So,
we'll just do it together. So, but that's important.
Yeah, it's important. Yeah, but I don't know if we want to burden staff with like our attendance at townships. We better head out.
Sorry. Should I take this or do
I
I
don't
need
think
it?
you need it.
Oh.
I think our time can be. It's irregular, so
right.
We do have our assigned liaison areas.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just grabbing the folders. I'll leave everything right there. What's that? No. Commissioner Davis, I'll go look at that form right now. I said I'm gonna go look at that form. Yep. Yes. And then I'll put it up there.
when you divided, when you got your 10.8, I also checked out of all southwest Michigan, you got the highest amount of money.
Where they have the most population, the most miles, so why wouldn't we?
From Calhoun. It was just, some of them were down to 35. So, but they're pretty even. I thought there'd be a bigger difference, I guess what I'm saying.
No, the money was
It's very like at 35. And I'm thinking, okay, we got a lot more population, a lot more roads in Berry County than it. But there was only a difference of, I got left down here.
variant. You thought it should have been a greater difference?
You know, Lincoln, Berry, Calhoun, Berry, St. Joe, Cass, Ranch, Berry. And I thought there'd be a bigger difference.
We should have had a lot more, shouldn't we?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. When you, your $10.8 million that you're gonna do extra now, did anybody tell you that you had to break it down?
No.
You just said,
Like I said at the beginning, our counterparts, you see what our counterparts are getting. They're making townships whole. That's it. By their revenue losses.
say,
So Charleston lost $10,000 in revenue. If you were in a different county, they're gonna make you whole by giving you $10,000, but you don't have to match it. That's it. Kalamazoo's
I
putting
just
aside.
got today that, all the townships in the state are asking the legislature, because they told us, everybody, that they were gonna backfill it, and did.
Yeah. And so,
So,
road commissions are, albeit it's not, you can't pick where it goes, it has to go to roads. But all the counties I've heard of are backfilling that. We're backfilling plus. Instead of 10,000, it's gonna be 70,000.
So, make sure I understand. We're gonna have all those 9 counties, all of them are gonna be different. They can all do different.
Yes. Yes.
And I wonder what's going through their head and what, how they decide.
We didn't have a long, drawn-out discussion. Some counties, we had a southwest Michigan.
That one you had now in?
No, this one was in Allen. Maybe that's what you're thinking about, is Allen.
There was one in Albion.
I haven't.
Because I wanted to hear, because I had said this, I wanted to know what your association was gonna recommend to you.
They did not. They did not.
You get no guidance?
Their guidance was the same rules.
What do you think? That everybody should be the same, close to the same?
No.
No.
Not even the park fund program that we have, Jerry, doesn't exist in other counties. In other counties, they have to contribute to primary roads in their township. So, no, we haven't had those strings attached. Only string attached is townships had to match. With all those previous dollars, the MTF dollars, the new dollars, the only new caveat is we don't have to require the match.
Yeah, it is.
I'm
You
sure
look at that whole picture and you think, oh God, what do I care? I'm just gonna get some extra money and I'm gonna fix your road for you, because they're all your roads, yeah. But the key is what I'm looking at, and studying is the amount of roads that you're gonna be able to do. You know, and then I was calculating mine, trying to figure out, okay, what's this mean to Jerry, what I'm gonna do, and when I looked at it, HJ, and what I paid for that, I paid $63,000. And I'm gonna get 72, so. I know what you're saying, yeah, it's a mile that you would have only had half a mile, but the legislature felt and voted that they wanted to have that opportunity, you know. And so, but after a while, I have to just another half a mile of chip seal. I'm looking for pavement, you know, or something. The other thing is, I get my gravel roads, you got every one of them red, you know. But that would be the last thing I would vote to put them on a gravel road. Nobody would. I've got to show them, hey, this is what your money's going for, this is what we're doing. You're gonna see pavement, good pavement, and less potholes and other. A gravel road 2 weeks after a snow or something, nobody will know the difference of what I put more gravel on it or not. It's my opportunity to make sure that people know that this is the opportunity.
Because if you don't take care of those paved surfaces, you'll have more gravel roads.
And in some cases, with yours, they have said to me, I need more gravel roads. I don't have the right balance to what.
Yeah, we've had that conversation.
I've had too many paved miles to take care of.
46th Street.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that leaves the next question. What do you think you're gonna see in grants? Anything?
Grants?
Trump has cut a lot of stuff off, and the rest, I don't know.
We believe that the largest grant that we have, the $25 million Safe Streets grant, is going to move forward.
That was a Safe Street, was the same one you did G Avenue, right?
That was a safety grant directly from the state, was G Avenue. The federal grant for the Safe Streets is going to go on 130 miles across the county. That's separate. That's a federal, $25 million federal grant.
And going back through all this stuff and the rest of it, I would like to see, and I don't know how, but I think the townships and the county should have a discussion about plat roads. You know, I love taking care of them. I think if we want more revenue long term and the rest of them, we need to make special assessments on any of these plat streets. I look at Texas and Washington, the way they're going and the number of streets, and then you see them in the formula, and I'm thinking, God, we're putting it, and it's just a glorified driveway. You know, I got Stanwood and Streamside. Nobody's going down there to get to anyone. They're not going from point A on Streamside to get over to Climax Drive and back to there. On my road, you know. And I like what Bavarian is doing, is that they have.
It's worked for them.
Yeah, and then if you want extra money, then say, and it doesn't have to be the full amount, it could be a half. Say, okay, this is what it is.
That's what Richland does.
Does it?
They say they will foot 150%, but the neighborhood has to come up with the other 50%. And we've had specialists, a couple of them up there.
So the thing is, the balance is between gravel and road, you know, and that's somewhat each township's got, I guess, decide what they want to handle. But boy, the flat streets, and I'm just wondering how that rolls up into the formula. How does it?
Well, you know, with this.
My kid lives on the street. The street's counted.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, he only uses the street to go home, you know? It's just a driveway. And I got people in my township that build a quarter mile back, you know? And what they're paying for a driveway, you know? And the guy who's in Streamside, we're paying for him to get him right to his house. Within 40 feet of the road, you know?
Cheers, not a bad idea.
Yeah. I'm just looking at long term and how you know, for revenue. If this is only 5 years and they don't do it,
right.
we're going to get back.
Yeah, we won't get much done in 5
because
years.
We're just looking at catching up is all we're trying to do right now.
It's going to take us over a decade to get caught up. I don't know that we will.
Do you look at it different? I guess I'm looking at what I want from Travis. And when is Travis going to release what he presented to us? When are we going to be able to?
The board work session is on December 2nd. So, I mean, we can give you numbers, but they're not, you can't take them anywhere and do anything with them.
Well, I want to do something.
I know you do. So you want them to be hard numbers.
Yeah. And so that's why I didn't say nothing today.
The board has to approve them.
Yeah.
And I think that'll come after December 2nd. I mean, it's in the middle of
boy,
December.
I'm kind of so
I know, Jerry. I know. I wish.
Yeah. You know, I don't have a March meeting yet. I got, and then Christmas. And so I'm going to move something on the November meeting, which is next Tuesday, talking about what roads they think they want to do, you know? And then immediately go into my budget to see where I'm at, and then also, I say something up there that, you know, all I can remember numbers, I saw the 5 million ad what we were giving, and then I had something, I think it was 72, it looked like, or something.
For the neighborhood road fund.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had 500 given and 500 taken away.
I guess I would have liked to see it the other way, that you kept the 5 million and we took the other amount, because it was, the banking is so important. I think it's absolutely necessary, that I can bank my money.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Because I'm gonna have 10,000 left, so what? What am I gonna do with it? I got 10,000, I ain't gonna do anything. You know? The only thing I said I was trying to figure out is, yeah, maybe I can do some, striping, crack field,
Yeah.
you know?
If you only got 10.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But if I could save it, even if I decided I wanna save it for 3 years and have you guys come, cause I'm looking at it thing, but I guess it's not a savings to me, but they always say it's like $10,000 to bring all your equipment out to a location.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, okay, I'll wait 3 years and I'll do 4 projects out in my township, you know?
Yeah, except we'll have climax. So our mobilization isn't. You're talking about for the paving contractors?
Yeah.
It's not.
I saw a charge on there once.
Well, a mobilization is how they bid it. They're not truly, it's not truly mobilization. MDOT requires that to be a pay item. Contractors are used to bidding on it. And mobilization for cash flow is paid out first. 50% of mobilization is paid out on the first pay draw. So if you were a cash-strapped contractor, that would get you up and running. That's what it's for.
And just, even though we got all this free money, we can never stop thinking of how we can best save money and use good practices and what we're doing.
Or new technology.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna keep pushing for the.
I like the city sewer people and that, but I came out the other day and I needed a cap on my well, meter well, it's a pit.
Yeah.
And 3 guys came out. One guy did one drove the pins in, and the other one carried over the thing. I'm thinking, 3 guys come out to put a lid on it. You know, you just leave me 4 bolts, I could put them in. But that's the system, you know, boy, you got efficiency is still important. And I don't want the money just to run through our hands so fast. You know?
We're not hiring people. Travis wants to deliver the most of the roads, and he's going to. We might have to bring on a couple more people to handle the projects, but the money's going to
But I just
projects.
don't think Bull, Rudy, Riley, and Lakeland, I don't know how they're gonna do this. We're not the only one. There's 82 counties, you know, that everybody's gonna do.
Yeah, and there's probably.
Because Lakeland does a lot of Calhoun, I see it.
Calhoun, Eaton, Allegan, Gary, well, they go to a lot of counties.
I saw them, the biggest one I saw them is, when I saw them down 43, doing all of that, all the way into Hastings. That's a beautiful road.
Yeah.
Nice place.
So MDOT didn't get as much of this money as counties, so that doesn't hurt us as much.
This is my biggest problem, and this is what I'm saying. I saw with the city of Vicksburg, Schoolcraft, Guilford, Augusta, Climax, whatever they did. And I know they used the formula, but now the money is different. Money is, everybody pays there. Galesburg and us we're in within 100 population. A little different now, since we lost 71, but we're very, very close.
Yep.
And I look at the roads they got, and their major roads is, the highway goes right through the town, so they don't like that as a major road.
Right.
You know, and I'm looking at what they're gonna do, to what I'm doing, and I'm thinking, it's different now. My people are paying the same at the pump that they're paying, you know. And mileage, I got just as many miles I'm gonna pay each year, even though it might be rural, but if I'm doing a mile, that's more than the city's gonna do it.
Yeah, they got more than their fair share.
And then I saw what, you know, what Gretchen gave them, $900 million, and the rest of it to the 39
months.
for the 39. But that's what I want, then I'm thinking, okay, then I want the formula for us, you know? I wanna get it equal to what Gales is doing.
So what about all the other things? So Galesburg isn't gonna take all that money and put it on their local roads in Galesburg. Right, they're gonna put it on primary roads.
Major, they want primary.
Major, okay, thank you. Minor and major, right? They won't just put it on minor, our locals. They'll also put it on the majors.
Well, they got one road they need bad, that's East Michigan, from the township into the post office. That's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
And they
that
applied
is-
for grants and everything else.
Yeah,
And they didn't get it, they didn't get the grant they wanted. They applied for 3 different grants. And I'm trying to think, okay, where are they getting 3 grants? Because I saw the 2 Galesburg workers and we were going through the sewer tour. And they said, well, I'll have to tell the mayor that she didn't get that one, you know, didn't get the one directly, but they said they had applied for some other one. I mean, well, where's that other money they get?
We apply for a lot of grants. We don't get grants.
The grants, where are we at on the rubber?
Well, we will have, we were supposed to do rubber projects this year in 25. Contractor couldn't get to us in time. Those are gonna happen in 26. And I'm waiting for Eagle to announce whether or not they'll have another grant available for next year.
When are they gonna happen?
They are the worst agency. They don't work on the timeline. It's whenever their budget gets final. And then Eagle kind of gets whatever money's left over. So hopefully we'll see it by the end of the year.
I got in my head, and I really don't like it, and I don't know why I didn't think about it, but I'm thinking, okay, what if I wanted to save 46 Street? I don't know why. The part that I'd like to save is south of Mercury Drive. That little stretch where Lipson's Dairy Farm used to be. Because a lot of people are still coming to Leroy to the industrial park in Battery. And they come, instead of going straight back into the village and coming back out and coming back that way, they go down 48th Street, which is not really nice now, they got gravel. And they get to 46th. So the part I don't think should be someday go back to gravel, but they get to that. And then they turn to go back to Mercury. And I've always wanted to know, I'm still trying to buy a counter, and I want to count how many cars are using it. 'Cause I
That
think-
piece of 46th?
Yeah.
Have we never counted that?
They've never had counted North 38th. Believe it or not, you can go back as far as you want to go back. I came back in Galesburg in 69, 50, 60 years ago. And they've never been counted on North 38th.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to buy it. They're getting cheaper. They got the little cameras now that they got.
Yeah. And those slick.
Yeah, and then the nicer thing is they got them where you can put by the hour even for you. And then on the day of the week and the rest of it. Because it appears to you guys use only 5 days a week. I'd like to see a 7-day week. I never see the results of it. You got, what's on Saturday or Sunday? You got you can't hear.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, everything we do.
I'm still trying to get Oakland County, was my last source, that they might have some Oakland.
Everybody's scarfing up those old tubes.
Yeah.
Because you can't buy them anymore.
But the other ones are coming down.
Yeah, they are.
They're really coming down fast. I put it in my budget for the last 3 or 4 years. They should, well, I added it all together, they have 1,200, have enough. I've been putting $400 trying to be used. I have to put out. So to one of your signs.
Never get it.
Who do you?
To put that in the roadway. Or to put
From
anything,
you?
to put anything on our signs. You gotta have to put that.
How much is that?
If we let you, it might be free, but you gotta get a permit.
Hey, I get in enough out to you already. I did this day, and everybody who's got driveways.
Yeah.
I put it in, I send them over to Brian, and what else do I got? Anybody who's digging the right of way.
Yep.
I'm making money from them. That's the only
You
thing
ought to be
I'm
making
digging
money.
for me doing this dig. Cause I gotta go out and mark the ones that are out there. I think it might have been on our 39th Street, thinking it was a climax.
Oh, did we keep going?
Yeah, I think it started from MEN.
Oh, did it go all the way?
I think so, and Miss
supposed to stop where the project, the regret was done.
He doesn't want anything done with it.
I know he doesn't. He's hell bent against us.
So I have to wait until the board okays it?
Yeah.
Because I said something to the township, but really, the meat of it is, that's all just free stuff, you know?
Yeah.
The one thing that I did, believe it or not, we both agreed on the amount of increase.
You showed me. You showed me that.
They, okay, the money came in. Okay, one last thing, and I'm like, tell me why you're losing the $1.5 million? Why? Is it just the financial years are changing?
So.
Or did they say in the new bill that anything? I can't figure out why it is, and I tried to read everything and ask everybody. But then you said you're gonna make it up. Is that gonna be made up because of the neighborhood money, or is that gonna be coming out of your $5.8 million that you're gonna get?
So, forget about the neighborhood money, but if you look at, we get money, 500 million from the general fund income tax. 500 million is redirected to roads today. And as of, well, not today, it stopped on October 1st.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yep. As soon as that happened, we started to lose money. They cut that off from us. January 1, that money from the pump, that $510 million from the pump, the gas tax, that 6% that now they've said, okay, 20 cents a gallon will go to roads.
Well, she wrote on there about how the money is accounted for a couple months later than.
Yeah, so they collected in January, but we won't get the distribution until March, in the middle of March. So we have to go a month, 2.5 months.
So do they have it figured out that what you lose, you should get?
We're always behind.
No, but in the end, sometimes.
Yes, we should. But if, remember, October 1st, we started to lose. And this same thing